Welcome to the channel, Scott's Garage HTX. Don't forget the HTX. I'm going to start a new series today, and that is rebuilding the old 13B that came out of the RX7. I have no idea what the rotor housings look like or the irons look like, but the first step is getting it on the engine stand and breaking it down. Part one, let's get started. You're wondering about the noise. That's on the dyno. Full disclosure, I've never done this before and I have no idea what I'm doing. I've built small blocks before, but I've never taken apart a rotary. So as I understand it, you take all the bolts off around here, these long bolts that hold everything together, and these bolts right here, and the thing should slide off. We'll find out. Do you need to number these? I've been trying to get to the gym about every Tuesday or something like that.
Something's going on there. Don't pry.
Don't pry because you damage the edge right there?
This is a sealing surface, so you want to always be careful with that.
See, I'm learning stuff already.
You have a dowel pin right there and a dowel pin down here.
Dowel pin here and dowel pin there.
There you go. All right.
Key.
Here's something cool that you should mention.
Because for me, it looks horrible. So what's probably happened right here?
All right, so the head gasket equivalent in this engine are these two rubber seals that go around the perimeter. And what ends up happening is when it fails, you get water contamination in the rotor, which is very obviously what happened here. Now, a lot of people, what they do is they leave it sitting for a long time and the rotor is destroyed, but that's not the case here. Another thing that happens is these channels right here, these are meant to hold the water seal like that. So this little wall is so thin, when people don't use coolant or they let it rust or sit, this thing will break and the seal will essentially prolapse into the water jacket or cause leaks into the oil, or this one will break and cause combustion chamber leaks. So it separates oil, water, combustion. Like something broke off and marred it right there.
Yep.
Let's see what.
That seal doesn't look too bad. Apex.
Well, these are stuck, but this isn't something that you won't be able to clean, you know? Right there, look.
Yeah,
Apex
check
seal
that out.
broke.
Yeah, look at that.
See, so that little piece of Apex ran around and eventually ended up here. Chewed up that corner.
Yeah. So, more importantly, I mean, rotors, you can get rotors, but I'm wondering what this chrome looks like in here, if that's not damaged at all. If that's
the water would
usable.
rust the iron more than this because it's aluminum.
Uh-huh. Now is this like a chrome plating right here?
It is, and the replating process that some companies have tried to do isn't very good. And if you can look right here, that piece of the apex that came out actually scarred the housing really good. I'm not hitting it to pull it off, I'm hitting it to break things free. So you want to be gentle with it too.
Yeah, I better look at that scar right there. And it's, darn it. Try to get it.
If you double tap that button, it'll recenter.
Yeah, right there. That scar right there is really deep. I don't know if that's repairable.
And then the chrome has chatter marks, if you can see.
Yeah, I can definitely see the chatter marks right
That's where the apex seal was jumping around as the spring behind it failed. Take this front bolt.
All right.
My bad, I thought that was already out. I would have handled that one first. There, nothing.
Oh, is that right? Take this bolt out?
Yeah, because sometimes we have to use the juggernaut, bro.
Oh, to get that out? Check this thing out. Holy cow. That's what we're going to use to get this center bolt off?
Yeah. Right.
Go right ahead, man. You okay?
Yeah.
Already getting blood. Try it now.
You got good grip, dude?
Well, we're gonna find out.
Oh, yo. Alright, you ready?
Yep. Yeah. Okay, stop. That hurts like hell. Wow.
Alright, we'll let the compressor hit over grip, dude. Get ready to hit this shit. There we go. Alright, when you're ready for me to do this, you need to move to your right. I'm gonna get up and get all the way out the way. You know what this is doing, right, Alan? That's heating up the bolt, making it loose to come out. Well,
expanding it.
For one, and it's also burning up the Loctite. Oh, yeah. Oh, do not touch that like at all. Just like.
Yeah. Put that on the cement or something. So how do I take that out? Like the
shaft?
The shaft, yeah.
We'll do it right now because it lobes through this one, so we have to separate it to be able to wiggle it out. So essentially, these two pieces will come out together once we lay it back flat.
Okay.
It would come off first.
It's not too hot anymore. Got gloves on. Turn it into.
Well, while it's here, go ahead and separate this in.
What's that?
These.
Those? Okay.
12 mil. Let me get you a 12.
All right, those are off. That's the oil pump right there? Or water?
This is the oil metering pump.
Metering pump, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
This is the oil pump right here. All right. So this is called an oil pellet, and it's kind of like a thermostat for the oil as it flows through the engine.
How so?
It's like a little hot, but it squeezes.
So that controls the flow of the oil through the metering
through
pump?
the eccentric shaft.
Oh, okay. And is it controlling the metering pump? Basically how much oil it's throwing? No?
No, the metering pump is controlled by RPM. So basically the faster that this spins, the faster that this spins.
All right.
This is also where on FC engines, the crank angle sensor, which is like like the distributor, it'll go in and it'll run off of this as well. Still a little hot, okay? You have to
take this off?
Yeah, if you grab a flathead, you can flatten that out and then you can.
Okay. There you go.
Yep. So this has a very small part in it. That's very important.
It does?
As you pull this off, and this you see has a key right here.
Yep. That key right there?
Yeah, that little key. If it's in there, it's in there. You don't have to worry about it. All right?
All right.
Pop this bad boy off. Oh, there it goes. So if you notice, this has like a...
Oh, sorry.
You're good. This has like a little sleeve on it right here.
Yes.
That's for the bearing to roll on. And then here you have your front end bearings, which keep your eccentric shaft from playing around like that.
So, when you're putting this back together and you're trying to get the play and the shaft right,
when I put it back together, I assemble the entire engine first, then I lay it up like this, and that's when I assemble all this. Because one of the big problems with beginners is they'll put this in and they'll have the engine sideways because they're torquing it or whatever, and the bearing will do this.
Oh.
All right?
Yeah.
So this is one of the main problems with beginning engine builders, is that will fall and you won't notice. The engine will start, everything will like start chewing up and your oil will start filling with metal, and what happens is the bearing will spin out from right here. You might end up destroying these. And I've seen this plenty of times. People are like, I built my engine, it only lasted a couple thousand miles.
The bearing spins, that bearing spins.
Yeah, and then the rotor's trash because the bearing doesn't fit tight like it should anymore.
Oh wow.
All right, so this is the front.
But is this, when you're working the play of the crank, is this the spacers that you work with?
The spacer, that piece right there, yes.
How the thickness, and like if it's not within tolerance, you have to take it apart.
Yeah, no.
And put it back together till you get the right spacing right.
You throw it all together and you impact all these pieces together without the front cover. So you put this back on, you put everything and you impact it, and then you move it with a dial gauge.
Yes.
And it's supposed to have only a certain amount of play. Too much play, you gotta tighten it up a little bit.
Okay.
So you end up putting a thicker spacer. I'm trying to skip a step later by taking this off, but it's not necessarily something that has to come off. All right, so there's the famous spacer, and let's see what letter you got. So you got a
C?
You got a C.
Okay.
So if you end up putting it together and the play is too much, you get a thicker spacer to tighten up the play. There's always going to be play. When this goes together, there's always a gap. So you just regulate that gap because you want it to be a certain amount of play, but not too much. And here we have another riding surface. So the bearings all sit on these surfaces.
Can you just use a magnet to pull that off?
Yeah, it'll come out eventually when we pop out the shaft.
Okay.
All right, cool. So let's go ahead and strip this back out.
Okay. So how do we do this?
All right, so during assembly is a little different. During disassembly, we just pull the center iron off with the shaft.
Okay.
I keep noticing my nail. A girl paint. All right, grab the shaft.
Here?
Yeah, from the top.
Okay.
All right. All right, go ahead and pull it separate.
There we go. Twist it like that.
There's room right here for it.
That one doesn't look too bad. There's the dowel pins you're talking about.
They all have the chattering.
Yeah.
Now there's a lot of companies on the other one you won't be able to, but they do resurfacing,
Yeah.
which is awesome. It looks great, but what happens is this circle ends up being slightly bigger, so the seal sits a little bit further out of the rotor, meaning that the spring is not as compressed as usually, so you don't have as much pressure on the apex seal. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does, and it would put a more of a
like
bind.
this, or I got you pushing like this.
Yeah.
You know?
And it would push the apex seal out further, so it's
Slightly
make
further,
it
so
move
you
it a
get
little more.
more chatter.
Yeah.
So there's a pause and neg to, yeah, you got a better surface, but never the same.
What I'm hearing, what it's looking like is that
All your control rings are just falling out. So this is like on a piston, you have the 3 rings, you have the compression ring and then the oil control.
Yep.
This is like what keeps the oil separate from the combustion. So you have your compression seal, oil seal. I think your irons are okay, man.
I think so.
And if you lap irons, it doesn't matter because it only goes up against the housing. So if you machine it, it doesn't matter. It doesn't squeeze anything.
Right.
It's
the same. The compression's on the rotor housings, not the irons.
What I'm saying is that this measurement doesn't change right here.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you machine the iron, it doesn't matter. It still sits up. So machining the irons is a lot easier of a process called lapping than getting these done. So a couple of these brand new. Some rotor cleaning and repairing, which is just like, you know, making sure the grooves don't have rust.
What about that nick in that one?
That's fine. Don't stress that out too hard.
No kidding?
Yeah, you smooth that out.
Oh, okay.
Smooth that out. And you can send them and get machined and get them all like nice and beautiful, and you can actually make higher RPMs, balance the rotors. So
Right.
you have to get it fixed anyway, so getting it machined like that, getting these lapped and some new housings, and I think you should be in good shape, dude.
Well, it's a part. Next step, rebuild. Thanks for joining us. Keep on keeping on. We'll catch you next time.